I'm so forgetful, but you always remind me. You're the only one who brings me peace. You're the only one who brings me peace. So I come, Lord, I come, I come, Lord, I come to tell you I love you, to tell you I need you, to tell you there's no better place for me than in your arms, to tell you I'm sorry for running in circles, for placing my focus on the waves, not on your face. You're the only one who brings me peace. You're the only one who brings me peace. I'm so forgetful, but you always remind me. You're the only one who brings me peace. You're the only one who brings me peace. So I come, Lord, I come, I come, Lord, I come to tell you I love you, to tell you I need you, to tell you there's no better place for me than in your arms, to tell you I'm sorry for running in circles, for placing my focus on the waves, not on your face. You're the only one who brings me peace. You're the only one who brings me peace in the storm. In the storm. I'm so forgetful, but you always remind me. You're the only one who brings me peace. You're the only one who brings me peace.
Good morning, Firmly Rooted family. Great to be with you this morning. Beautiful Thursday morning, summertime weather in Michigan. Although it's cold, still just gorgeous outside, right? Nothing we can complain about. It's such a great weekend to be living in Oxford. You know, all these things are kicking off. The summer stuff's kicking off. Everything's open, and we've got the summer celebration coming up. Although I heard the fireworks are canceled because of the crispy grass and the drought, but I know that's always one of my favorite times of the year is when the community comes out for that show. But still be a great weekend, and I hope you've got some things to look forward to this weekend for sure. You know, this is a time when Tom always is saying hi to everybody and interacting with comments, and I don't have that capability, so trust and know that I'm glad you're here, even though I don't get to shout you out. I don't want to sit here and guess who might be here, but I'm so glad to have you with me. We've been working through Luke, and it's funny. There's certain stories and certain parts of the Bible that we feel like we've known our whole lives. There's a lot of, well, I don't even know that, I don't want to be this picky, but I think there's a lot of pastors who have a lot of verses or stories that they like to do sermons on, and some that maybe they don't like to do so much. And I think that obviously the stories in the gospel are covered heavily during sermons, but I think this is one of those we're talking about today. Jesus calms the storm. It's one of those that's it seems real easy, right? It seems super simple. In fact, it's basically they're all in a boat together. There's a great storm that arises, and the Lord calms the sea. Easy, right? We just need to know Jesus is in control. And here we have another example of the disciples, failing to get it, right? But it's really not that simple. There's really so much more to this, right? And so there's some key points that I think are important that we kind of dig into. A lot of us struggle with worry, and I forget who said it. I wish I had looked it up so I could give credit for the quote, but one of those kind of famous sayings about worrying about something means I have to suffer it twice, right? Suffer it when I worry about it and suffer it when it really happens. And if it doesn't really happen, then what a waste of time that worry was, and what a waste of my energy it was. And it doesn't make it any easier, right? Some of us are still just prone to worry and think about things, right? Whether it's the latest virus or the latest thing to hit the stock market, or artificial intelligence and robots taking over the world, or now apparently aliens and UFOs exist and they're all over, and inflation's crazy, and politics is a mess, and everybody hates each other, and there has to be a right and a wrong answer to every question, and there's no gray and no nuance and no in-between ground. We all have to put ourselves in our little tribal sides and fight each other to the death. And we've got, some of us have personal health issues or job issues, and we've been struggling to find work, and here the economy's, the job market has never seen such a glut, right? There's so many more jobs open than there are people looking for them, yet there's still some of us who are struggling to find work, and gosh, there's a lot to worry about, especially if you watch the TV. They'll tell you, you ever feel calm, just turn the news on for a little while. They'll tell you all the things you're supposed to be scared about. And gosh, that's just not the life that God wants for us. So let's look at what happened in this, right? So real quick, we'll read through. One day Jesus said to his disciples, "Let's go over to the other side of the lake." So they got into a boat and set out. As they sailed, he fell asleep. A squall came down on the lake, so that the boat was being swamped, and they were in great danger. The disciples went and woke him, saying, "Master, Master, we're going to drown." He got up and rebuked the wind and the raging waters. The storm subsided and all was calm. "Where is your faith?" he asked his disciples. In fear and amazement they asked one another, "Who is this? He commands even the winds and the water, and they obey him." So let's look at what the disciples did do. Maybe did do right, because it's so easy to look at what they did wrong, right? First, they followed him. When he got into the boat, they followed him. It's what he asked them to do. It's the only thing he ever asked of them. Follow me. And that's the same thing he's asking of us. You don't get to experience the miracle of the calming of the storm if you didn't follow him into the boat. So stop making excuses. Follow him. Submit to him. Not only should that help you stop worrying, but we know and understand as Christians, following him is the way to eternal life. So they followed him. That's a big thing. That's a big thing that I think is easy to overlook when we read this story. Another important point to me is, just because we follow Jesus doesn't mean we're going to be free of troubles, free of storms, right? Following Jesus will give you peace in the midst of the storms, right? But it doesn't mean they're not going to be there. And so I think that's just such an important point here, right? These are the disciples living, breathing, eating, learning from, eating with, right? Every part of their life is with the Son of Man himself. God is with them, physically present, couldn't be any more obvious in every moment of their life. And they still face storms. They still struggle. Maybe some of them still heartsick for someone they left behind. Who knows what it is? You know that there are things, earthly troubles, on the disciples' minds. Another thing is, sometimes, when we're going through storms especially, we feel like we're alone. And sometimes Jesus is silent. Sometimes he's asleep in the boat. But that's not the time to panic, because he's still very much in control. It seems like he's deserted you, but in fact, he's right beside you, right with you, and carrying you. He never leaves you and never forsakes you. And this can be so hard to remember when we're dealing with a storm, when we're in the forge, when we're in a desert, however you want to put it, whatever it is you've been struggling with. We are never alone. So what do they do next? Master, Master, wake up, we're going to drown. They cried out for help. Yes, they were in a panic, but they did have enough faith to go to him, to ask him. Why? Because they knew he had the answer. When they're there with him physically, maybe we think it was easier. But I need you to know and remember he's there with you and wants that relationship and that conversation with you. So go to him. When you are in need, cry out for help, just like they did. As much as worry is a useless waste of time and effort, prayer is deeply effective. Not only because God hears your prayer, he bends his ear to you, but because it has a way when you pray to change your perspective, to relax that tense heart, to take away some of the worry, to remind yourself of truths. One of the things I learned that I had a gift for is intercessory prayer, which I didn't even know what that meant, but praying over other people. And one day I decided I was going to try it over myself. I was going to pray over myself some things that I would pray over someone else. If someone else came to me speaking of the same things that I'd been stressed about, that I'd been worrying about, that had been eating at me, and I acted like I was somebody else and I prayed over me, and boy, it was amazing. It was months of feeling better just having shifted that perspective, because I went to him and it shifted my heart. And he has this way of kind of turning your focus back to where it should be. Another thing that we miss here, as we end with the disciples in fear and amazement, looking back at him. And to me, that's another powerful thing, looking back and thinking about the times that Jesus has stepped in your life before. The times that something happened that you just couldn't explain. Maybe you just had a feeling. You heard what you needed to hear. You went to church and heard a sermon that you thought was speaking right to you. You had a person reach out and call you out of the blue who you'd been thinking about. You met somebody at a restaurant or in the store who was struggling, and you gave them words of encouragement. Think of all those times that Jesus has been present and helped you before, because that increases your faith and helps you deal with future problems. So this isn't about condemning you. Yes, it's easy to kind of poke fun and say, oh, inflation, we're all going to die. Where's your faith? Oh, the housing market, it's going to crash. We're all going to die. Where's your faith? Right? Whatever it is that the news has got you riled up about today, whatever it is that your neighbor or whatever it is, there's just so many things that get us off track and get us worked up, and breathe. Remember the lessons of Jesus calming the storm. Follow him. Go to him. remember what he's done for you and hold on, not because your faith is big, but because your faith is in a big, big God and a good, good Father. That's the time to be the most faithful. I hope that makes storms easier for you. And I hope that word encourages you today. I love you. I look forward to seeing you again this weekend. So for today, have a great day. Make it a firmly rooted day. And may someone see Jesus in us today. Peace.